Good evening. The Scottish Health Secretary has told BBC Scotland she plans to change procedures to ensure she's kept better informed about problems at hospitals. Jean Freeman's comments come after a number of newspaper reports on further issues at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital in Glasgow. Here's our political reporter David Wallace-Lockhart.
Another day of bad headlines for Scotland's Health Secretary. 2 children died in 2017 after being treated on a ward later closed because of infections linked to the water supply at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital in Glasgow. Newspapers today report a mother believes her child's current illness could be linked and that a whistleblower claims to have identified 10 new cases. And on top of that, another report that safety inspectors criticised staff training and equipment for dealing with infectious diseases last November. The Health Secretary says the problems identified were dealt with, but that she should have been shown that report.
On the question of what would I normally be told and what should I be told, that is part of what my senior officials are now looking at very carefully, because I want to change some of what was normal procedure so that I do know more about these matters.
Jean Freeman insists she should stay in post. The Scottish Tories disagree.
This drip, drip, drip of serious information and concern about our NHS shows that the Health Secretary has lost confidence of people and patients and parents. And for that reason, I think the NHS requires fresh leadership.
Scottish Labour say action is needed at Glasgow's Health Board.
It's clear that the Health Board has become dysfunctional and chaotic and has lost the confidence of those parents and the wider public. The leadership team at the Health Board needs to go, and Jean Freeman needs to sort that out.
The Lib Dems want more clarity on the state of the Glasgow hospital.
I want answers. I want to be clear what she knew, understand how decisions were taken, so that we can learn from this and make sure that it doesn't happen to anybody else. We need an urgent review as to whether this building is still fit for purpose and whether it's making people sick. That needs to happen first and foremost before any political considerations.
NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde say they implemented an action plan to deal with health inspectors' concerns and that no link has been found between infections and the current ward environment. On Tuesday, Health Protection Scotland will publish their figures for infection rates among children being treated in the cancer wards at the Children's Hospital since 2016. David Wallace-Lockhart, reporting Scotland.
More than 200 new families have contacted an inquiry into mother and baby deaths at a hospital trust in Shropshire since our latest report on the scandal last week. Investigators were already looking at over 600 cases spanning decades where newborns and mothers died or were left injured while in the care of the Shrewsbury and Telford Hospital Trust. One expert says this may just be the tip of the iceberg. Our health correspondent Dominic Hughes has more.
Just a few hours after these photos were taken in April 2016, Pippa Griffiths became seriously ill and died. An inquest found she could have survived had staff from the Shrewsbury and Telford Hospital Trust acted faster.
The culture, the cover-ups, the lies, and that's what ultimately caused our daughter's death.
For Pippa's parents, a leaked report into failings at the Trust has been another reminder of the terrible events around their daughter's death.
We've got to relive it over and over again. I mean, it's 3.5 years now, and we're still in that place.
We're just one case as well.
Yeah.
Many more.
And more parents are joining Kaylee and Colin Griffiths. I've been told that in the last week, at least 200 new families have come forward. That's in addition to more than 600 cases dating back 40 years the inquiry team are already looking at.
It worries me that lessons haven't been learned. Despite the fact so many of our clients have been told that lessons will be learned, policies will be put into place, it's written in their investigation reports, and yet the same mistakes keep happening again and again.
One of the most worrying aspects of this leaked report into events here at the Shrewsbury and Telford Trust is the sense that we've been here before. So much of what happened has echoes of the scandal that engulfed the Morecambe Bay maternity unit, where mothers and babies also suffered avoidable deaths. And that raises disturbing questions about what might be happening elsewhere.
These are not two separate one-offs. These point to underlying systemic failure that might be widespread.
The man who headed the investigation into the Morecambe Bay scandal warns more NHS trusts could risk repeating the same catastrophic mistakes.
The notion that it could never happen here is one of the most dangerous ones that an NHS trust can have. The truth is there are points of learning from all of these things that everybody should be looking at and learning from.
And families are still living with the consequences of terrible failure. Chrissy didn't want to be identified, but her son was left with a brain injury after complications during birth.
Babies now that have got brain injuries that are going to affect them for the rest of their life. They're not going to grow into the child and adult that they could have grown into. It's just not fair. They took that away from us. They've took it away from parents. They've took it away from me. And I just think somebody needs to find out exactly what's going on and stop it.
Families like the Griffiths don't expect to hear from the investigation team until late next year. But with fresh cases still emerging, they may face a much longer wait. Dominic Hughes, BBC News, Shrewsbury.